All right, this is a video how to quickly make a frame. So we're going to do the first best we can to quickly create a frame. I have the 5 steps up here it takes to create a basic frame. We create a J-frame, we set the size of the frame, create a J-panel, add the panel, and then make the frame visible. We're going to try to do those 5 steps right now. So the first step, here we go. We're going to create a J-frame. We all know to create an object of a class, we start with the name of the class. So J-frame, we give it any name we want. I don't know, my frame sounds good. Equals new J-frame. Oh, I don't know what the constructors look like in the J-frame class, so I need the API. First thing you should do every time you walk into your office, get yourself a cup of coffee, open up the API, and open up your development environment. We have to go open up the API. So I'm going to open up a new tab in my web browser, type in Java API. I don't even care what version. 7's good enough for us because we're not going to be, I think 8 is the newest, but we'll go with 7. So we open it up. Remember, these are the packages in the top left. These are all the classes in the bottom left, and this is whatever class you're selected on over here. I'm just going to do a search, so Command F or Control F, depending on what, it was Command F on the Mac, so I'm going to type in JFrame. It was already typed in, I must have done this earlier. Hit return, there's a hit right over there. I want the class JFrame, that's what I'm looking at. The JFrame class, I could scroll through it to try to find what I wanted. There are quick links up here at the top. Fields or variables in the JFrame class. This is the constructors, and these are the methods. These are summaries, these are more detail. I'm just going to do a summary and go to the constructors quickly. I see that there's a default constructor that makes it invisible. I don't know what this graphics configuration nonsense is. Here's a constructor that accepts a string that allows me to put the title. Oh, that sounds pretty cool. I think that's the one I'm going to use. So I just researched the API to figure out that there is a JFrame class that has a string, and I'm going to say my title is going to be Hello World or something like that. It doesn't really matter. And I feel really good. And I go to compile this first line of code and it says, oh, didn't work. Why didn't it work? Can't find JFrame. Why can't it find JFrame? I don't know. Let's go back to the API. We run back to the API and we'll see at the top of this that the JFrame class is in the javax.swing package. So when the API is a wonderful place to go. It tells you what package it's in as well. So now I got to quickly run back and I have to import the javax.swing package. And I'm just going to get the entire package, so I'm going to do .star. Now if I compile it, woohoo, first thing done, we did it. Next thing we're supposed to do is set the size of the frame. So the name of my object is myFrame. Oh, I don't know if maybe there is a set size method. I'm not sure. Oh, I run to the API again. So I quickly run to the API. I'm going to look at the methods in the JFrame class. So I'm going through, they're alphabetical here, and I'm looking for set size, and I cannot find one called set size. There's nothing here that looks good to me. I'm like, oh, that's no good. However, if we go put set size in, we'll try to teach this a little bit different. We're going to go put set size in, and I'm going to put in, a 300 by 300 because I'm assuming there's a set size method that accepts a width and a height, but I'm not sure. I compile it, and it works. For Pete's sake, how the heck did that work? I just looked at the JFrame class, and there wasn't a set size method. Well, here's our quick introduction to inheritance. If I do a control F here and I do a set size in the API, I will find a set size method. There's a couple of them here, but they're in the window class. They're in this class called window, but I'm not in window. But this is the first time we've ever done this thing about inheritance. The class that we're in, JFrame, inherits from the frame class, which also inherits from the window class, which inherits from the container class. So in other words, in inheritance, we haven't talked about it, but this is the first time. Inheritance, you inherit all the methods from the class above you. So really, even though there's not a set size method explicitly in the JFrame class, we inherited it because of the hierarchy in Java, which we'll go to more in class. But here's the 2 set size methods. If we go look at these set size methods, one of them accepts a dimension, one of them accepts a, there's the window class. I'm going to go to the set size method. I don't know why it didn't take me directly there. But if I go look at the set size method, one accepts a dimension. Now that starts with a capital D, which means there's a class called dimension. I'm going to try not to use that one. Ooh, I like this one because it just has a width and a height, and I understand ints. So with all that said, we were able to use this set size method, even though there was not a set size method in the JFrame class. There was one in a class that I inherited from, so I'm using that one. It just passed the width and the height. Boom, step 1 done. Let's go to step 2. Let's create a JPanel. Let's call it my panel. New JPanel. And we'll go look at the API. I'm just going to use a default constructor of that one. If we went to the API, we'd see there's a default constructor of the JPanel class. You can pause the video and go look at it if you want. Think of the panel as the piece of paper and think of the frame as exactly what it is, just a frame with nothing in it. Well, now I just created a piece of paper. So I created the frame, made the size of the frame, so it's like the wood part. Now I got a piece of paper out, it's blank right now. Just so we can see this work, we're going to set the color of the panel, which I don't have in my notes, but just to kind of help you, we're going to set the background color. We could go to the API, we would find this method. I'm also going to use autocomplete, which is control space or command space, depending on which ID or which you're using. If you look right now, it'll autocomplete for me, and it's showing me that set background is an option. However, it says I need to pass a color with a capital C. Oh boy. So that means I need to pass an object of the color class. So I'm going to say new color. But then I'm like, all right, is there a constructor in the color class that needs me to pass something? So I could run to the API. And you can do this. You can pause the video, go look at the API of the color class, and you would see that there's one that accepts 3 ints, which is an RGB value. And we've talked about RGB values before. So you should be good on that. Let's make it red. So we'll do 255, which is a lot of red, no green and no blue. There's our RGB value, and we just set the background color of the piece of paper because we did the piece of paper, which is my panel.set background. Interesting. Step 1 done, step 2 done, step 3 done. We created the J panel. We got to go to step 4. We got to add it. So now we're going to say my frame, which is the name of the frame, dot, and we're just going to add it. Now we could go look at the API again. We would find out there is not an add method in the frame class, but there is one that we inherited. And you can really pass any component. It'll say you have to pass a component. Well, I'm just going to pass my panel because my panel is at least a component. Component is a very high level class in Java. All the classes below it, like the panel class or the JPanel class, if something accepts a high level class, you can pass it anything lower than it in the tree. So something that inherits from it. So myFrame.add my panel is step 4. And then our last step is just make the frame visible, because if we looked at the constructor of the JFrame class, we would have seen that it was invisible. So we say my frame, and if we want to make it visible, we're like, I don't know what it is. It's a set something. So I'll just start SE, and then I'll control space, and then I'll be set it alive. No, that didn't reset. Set visible. Look at there it is. There's a method called set visible that accepts a Boolean. Booleans are scary. Boo. But that's either a true or a false. So set visible, I think I'm going to pass it true. So I do set visible and I pass it true. I could go look at the API again and look in the frame class and look for a set visible method or one inherited, and I would see it. We have done all 5 steps. Let's see if this works. We're going to compile it. Didn't like something here. It says can't find color. Oh no, got to go to the API. I got to find out where color's at. So I run to the API. I'm going to do a control F, or I'm going to search again for color. It gives me lots of hits. I'm just looking for the color class. So I was going to go all the way up here to the top. Oh, I should have picked something way up here. Let's see if I pick something up there even higher than that. That's in the D range. We're getting closer. A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. I did not use the search very well, but I'm just alphabetically now searching for color for some reason. Oh, there's a lot of colors. There it is. There's the color class. If I go look at the color class, I'll see that the color class is a java.awt package. Right here is what package it's in. So I got to run to the API, and I have to import java.awt as well. I'm going to get the entire package, so I'm going to do .star. Really, anytime you do graphics, these are 2 really good packages to bring in, but I wanted you to look at the API so you could see it and be like, oh, yeah, that's where that came from. That's where that came from, instead of just copying. Main thing I want you to know is how to read the API and how to research on your own. I'm just teaching you graphics through that mode. So I'm going to compile this again. It says we're good now. I'm going to quickly try to run it. So we'll see what happens here. And we get our first frame. Notice the title says Hello World. It is a 300 by 300. We can change the size of it if we want. It's just the original size of it. That is our first frame. We're going to do some more things with it, but that is lit.